Hello, everyone. This is Kerwin, and welcome to another episode of Travel Talk. Yep, that's the official name now, unless somebody says I can't use that name. But for now, that's the name. But I'm still open to names, so let me know what you all think. So in this episode, I'm gonna try to stop touching my face and to stop saying arms. So let me know how I did. Uh, well, that was an that was an R, right? So we're going to talk about hotels. The thing with hotels is it is extremely important that you decide what you want to do. So when I say that, I mean, are you just interested in staying at the cheapest hotels, or do you really want to get choose a brand and be loyal to that brand, and then make sure that you always book with the brands within that brand? For example, I've chosen three brands. I've chosen Hilton, Marriott, and Intercontinental Hotel Group. These are my three go-to brands. So whenever I'm going to a city, I first look at these three brands and see which which of them is closest to where I need to be and what are the prices are. And if another brand is a little further away, but the cost difference between my getting up early, going to get transportation, and all that kind of stuff, then I decide whether I'm going to take it or not. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have a photo. This is a room that I checked into in the Hilton Barclay. Now I got this room because I had a coupon that was ending on August 2nd. And I was in New York on the 31st. I needed to use that coupon before that date. We'll talk about how you get these coupons and free certificates and things like that in just a minute. Uh, when you when you when you have status, it allows you to check in beforehand. So in this particular room, this was 8:30 in the morning, and I was able to check into my room at 8:30 in the morning in one of the busiest hotel cities in the world, New York. Now, the only reason I was able to do that was I have elite status, I have Diamond Elite status with Intercontinental Hotel Group. And so I was able to check in early. Otherwise, they would have told me to come back at 3. Now, I have thoughts about telling people to come back at 3 because think about it. When you tell everyone to come back at 3, your lobby looks like a mess. Customers have a really terrible experience checking in because the front desk clerk are rushing. They're rushing because they have a line of people in front of them. So the hotels really need to figure out a better way to kind of sequence you in because not everyone is going to show up at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. So they need to figure out get me a room whenever I arrive, within certain parameters. Now, being a diamond member at Intercontinental, they usually get me a room whenever I arrive. Now, sometimes it's not the room I want or desire, but they don't often get you into a room. When I was in Boston, the girl was really nice. She checked me and she goes, I have a room, but I don't want to give you that room. I want to give you a better room. Do you mind waiting? And I said, okay. So they were like, you want to leave my bag? I said, well, yeah, I could leave my bag. So I left my bag with them. And then I just walked around the city, which I needed to do anyway. So I kind of flipped everything that I had. But I could have gotten a room at that early in the morning. And I've done this in many, many cities that I've gone where if they have the room available, you'll get it. I was in Australia and I got a room then the flight arrived at like 7 a.m. And by the time I got to the hotel, it was like 7:30, 7:45, and I got a room. So, and sometimes when you get a room that early, they just say, you know what, why don't you go have breakfast on us or something like that. Some hotels also have gyms, and you can actually go to the gym, take a shower, relax in the gym, and then you can go out and do whatever you need to do. So it just depends on the hotel that you're going. And you get this kind of stuff with status, right? They normally don't give these kind of perks to regular people who have no status. So this is why it's important to decide how you travel and how you want to get the perks of travel. Uh, so, and how you decide it is you say, look, I'm going to be traveling X amount of times a year, and I want to stay in a particular chain. So pick a chain that you like. And the reason why I pick a chain I like is I know the rooms are going to be of a specific standard. So when I check into these rooms, I know that, like this particular room, I think they brought me chocolate. I'm not a chocolate fan, but it's just one of the perks that they give you. You get 2 bottles of water. I could take the bottle of water from they have the mini bar was in here. So I could take the bottle of water from the mini bar and there's no charge for it. They also give me breakfast credits and IHG member credits. So in this particular hotel, I had 30, they all charge this ridiculous $35 now. Amenity fee is what they call it. But they give it back to you in credits. Kind of weird. So I could go to the restaurant and pay and get any meal up to $35. Now the meals in the restaurants are very expensive anyway. So I ended up getting like I think it was a lobster sandwich or something like that. And it was $45. So I had to pay $10. Now the funky thing is, which in one of these episodes I talked about checking your bill, where I tipped they have a mandatory tip, which is 15%. And I also tipped. So when I look at the bill, there were 2 gratuities. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay 2 gratuities. If you're going to take a mandatory gratuity, I'm not going to pay another gratuity on top of that. It doesn't work that way because I'm paying more than I got the food for. And so I had to check my bill to make sure that that's the case. Hilton, some of the Hilton hotels will give you, I think the last one was that they give you $18 credits per person in the room. And they also gave you free breakfast. Now, when you add up these savings, you're trying to save money on a really cheap hotel. And when you add up all these savings, I spent less than you did trying to stay at another cheap hotel. I don't like cheap hotels because when you check in, the service level is really terrible. Oftentimes the rooms aren't cleaned properly. And I I'm not happy. And if I'm staying in a hotel, I need to be happy. So you need to decide what is your level of happiness when you're checking into a hotel room. Don't always book the cheapest hotel. I mean, seriously, do not always book the cheapest hotel. The hotel is that cheap for a reason. So I tried to decide, is the hotel close to, like, for example, this particular hotel, the picture behind me, it was a 10-minute walk, 10 to 15-minute walk from where my meeting was. So it was great. Got up early, I timed it properly, and I got there, no problem. Then I have to come back in the afternoon to the hotel, no problems either. The next hotel I booked wasn't too far away, but then that wasn't the hotel I wanted. It's a Hilton DoubleTree. I wanted there was a Hilton Garden Inn, but when I booked it, I booked the wrong nights, and when I went to change it, the night I wanted cost more, so I was able to cancel the whole thing. That's the other thing too, cancellations. When you book a cheaper hotel, oftentimes you can't cancel it. With a lot of these programs, hotel programs, they used to give you up until 6 o'clock day of check-in, but a few years ago, that all changed. So now you will get something like 24 hours before day of check-in, or you'll get 2 days before or 3 days before day of check-in to do your cancellation. So check that because your plans change. All right. And so you need to bear that in mind. I hate locking in hotel room, but now because prices are just skyrocketing, you kind of have to have an idea of where you're going. Like I'm going to Dubai in November and I'm looking at hotel rooms now. I haven't booked anything yet, but Dubai has a ton of hotel rooms. And that time of the year is not a busy time of the year, although there's a conference in town, but there's so many hotel rooms. And the conference is at one end of town, and typically I end up staying at the other end of town. And there's a bunch of hotels in Dubai that I want to stay, so I'm going to go look at them and see if they have really good rates. Well, how do you find the good rates? You can start with Expedia. You can go to passradar.com/Expedia. I say Expedia because Expedia owns like the Pricelines of the world, the Orbits of the world. They don't own them all, but they own a lot of them. So it makes sense just to go to Expedia. I do get a small commission, and trust me, it's a small commission if you go to Expedia and book your rooms from there. So you can start there. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. So what I normally do is I go to Expedia and I look at the rooms that I need. Oftentimes, my three top brands or my fallback brands, which are like I'm not big on Hyatt, but Hyatt has really good hotels. Although I had a really horrible experience with a Hyatt Regency when I went to Dubai, but that's another story. So not all the brands are top brands, and I want to stay in a top brand because I just don't want issues with my hotels. You hear people talk about bed bugs. I don't do bed bugs, so I make sure I stay in somewhere that's nice. When you go to Expedia, you put in where you want to stay. You can put the name of the hotel if that's what you want, or you can put the address of the hotel or the name of the city or the address of, like, let's say you want to stay in New York Times Square, you can put that in. If you want to stay by the New York Met, you can put the New York Met in, and it'll give you hotels that are close to that point. Problem with New York, be careful, because oftentimes they give you hotels in New Jersey just because they're cheaper. But to get from New York to New Jersey, it takes a while and it's costly. So make sure you look at that. Always look at where the hotel is located before you book it, okay? When you do the hotels, when you book in so you go to Expedia and you type the name of the hotel in, and you look for or the name of the city, you look for where you want. So you find the list and you decide. Sometimes you can find some really nice hotels, but they don't have any loyalty programs, or they're not affiliated with any loyalty programs. So you just have to book. You can book directly with them, or you can book through Expedia if that's what you want to do. Expedia have something called One Key Rewards now. So every time you book, they give you some type of credit, and something you may get free breakfast, you may get early check-in, late checkout, and things like that. So what they're trying to do is to compete with the hotels, because if I book a stay with Expedia and I check in at my hotel, my Hilton hotel, for example, or my Marriott or my IHG, when I check in, they're going to tell me, I'm sorry, you didn't book with directly with the hotel, and so you can't get your perks. And for me, the perks are better because I get early check-in, like I mentioned. I get late checkout. With this particular hotel that I booked in New York, I had a 4 p.m. late checkout. And you know what? I used it. Well, kind of. Because it didn't really work, because I would have had to come back to the hotel and then go. So what I ended up doing, I just ended up checking out at, I think I left at like 10:30 because my meeting didn't start until noon. Because when I looked at all the timings, it didn't make sense to come back when I needed. But when I did the one in Boston, I had a 4 o'clock checkout, and I used it up until, I think it was at 1 o'clock, 1:30, because I had to leave to get to the airport. So late checkout is great. I've been in situations where I definitely needed a late checkout because I'm switching hotels. Because when I travel, I try to stay with a number of different hotels. So I do switch. I do the hotel switching. But back to booking. So once you've identified which hotel you want, and like I said, Expedia gives you the One Key Rewards and things like that. You should sign up for that. Once you've decided which hotel you want, now you got to say, okay, great. Am I going to book through Expedia, or am I going to go book through the partner? If you want your points and you want your status and you want all everything that comes with that, you have to book through the hotel. So you have to go to the hotel's website. Usually the price is the same because everyone is competing with each other. But if you don't care about the hotel perks and all that, then just go book with Expedia. That's fine. It's up to you. I booked through hotels through Expedia before because it was a hotel that they didn't have their own booking facility, and Expedia was the booking facility. So I used that, and I get my one key credits and stuff like that. But for me, I use the hotel's website. For you, you might just book whatever you want. Sometimes you can just call the hotel and book. If you're an airline employee, you more than likely have to call the hotel and ask for the travel industry rate so you can get the hotel rate. And when you get there, you have to show your ID. If you have the right codes, you can actually book those rates online. But when you get to the hotel, you still have to show your ID because that's a requirement of checking in. If you don't have your ID, i.e., you're not an airline person or a travel agent or anything like that, you have to pay the regular rate. And they will make you pay the regular rate. So I don't think you can cheat on that one. But that's typically it about booking hotels. Again, don't go for the cheapest price because you may regret it. Chances are you are going to regret it. Just don't book any random hotel. Do a little research. And some people may go to a hotel and have a bad time. Others may go and have a good time. It doesn't mean the hotel is bad. It just means that the experience was different. For me, it's when I walk in a hotel and they say, they will greet you and, ask you how you've been, things like that. It's a little conversation. So it's not so robotic in essence. When I stayed at the Intercontinental in Boston, the lady was amazing. Like she went out of the way to get me the upgrade to the suite, and the suite is just lovely. I probably should have showed that picture instead of this one. But she did really good, and it was a nice view, nice suite. I could have had like 30 people in that suite. It was so big. So that's the kind of stuff that you have. My friends called me a hotel snob, and it's because I don't like to stay in crappy hotels. I grew up in the country of Jamaica, the country in Jamaica, and I don't do crappy hotels. It's just me. Others spend money on lunch, shoes, clothes. I spend it on hotels because I do not want to have an issue. And if I have an issue, I need it to be taken care of properly. I was staying at a 5-star hotel in Dublin, and my friend and I we went out and we came back, and the room was flooded because I think there was a leak in the bathroom. It's an old hotel. And, we called the manager up and said, hey, what can you do? The hotel was full. They had no more rooms. And so we said, okay, just give us some towels. So we got some towels and we put it in the bathroom and it soaked up the water and we're good to go. The next day we went out and we came back and they had moved us to another room. And they were so apologetic. I think we got dinner or something like that. But this is the kind of stuff that happens when you stay at properties that take care of you. Now, I've also stayed at my regular brands, my Hilton brands, and I was in Fort Lauderdale, and they wanted to charge us for parking. And they didn't announce or notify us in the reservation that you had to pay for parking. But when we get there, like, you have to pay $20 for parking. They're like, well, you didn't tell us we had to pay for parking. They're like, yes, it's on the website. I said, it's not on the website. Because whenever I book, I look for things like that. Because that's the other thing about hotels, like especially like San Francisco. San Francisco, some of the places, they don't have transportation to the hotels. Or if they have transportation, and they're airport hotels, right? Or if they have transportation, it doesn't work between 11:30 and like 4 a.m. And I'm like, you're an airport hotel. How could you not have 24-hour service? But some of them don't. So you have to look at that. So what that means, I got to do an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi, right? Which is like $20, $30 because it's very expensive in San Francisco. So all of a sudden, my hotel room rate is $30 more. Now, there's a hotel in San Francisco, and I really want to say it is actually a Hyatt. So it's not one of my top 3 brands, but it's in my top 4 brands. And it's really nice, but it's $350 a night. So I'm not going to stay there anytime soon, unless I acquire a lot of Hyatt points. That's the other thing too, points. You can book a hotel with points. Nowadays, though, when you book with points, like when I stayed at this particular hotel, they charge me an extra $35 for amenity fee. And it's like, I paid already with my points. This is not a free stay. But the points I got was actually because I have a credit card with IHG, and they gave you a certificate for a free room once a year. Matter of fact, it's coming up in August. They're going to bill me again this month, and then I should get another certificate. But they're only good for a year. Now you can call and say, hey, can you extend my certificate? You could do that, but I needed to use it, so I just used it because New York hotels are expensive. This room, I think, is like a $300 a night room. So when I can use my certificate, it's great. So I try to use a certificate in cities where it's like super expensive for the hotel rooms, like New York. Once you have enough points, then you can go ahead and you can book the rooms using the points. They have points in money, so you can do, like if the room is 40,000, you can do 5,000 points plus $100, or 10,000 points plus $50. Or the full 40,000 plus whatever that annoying fee that ever all the hotels are charging now. Other thing in Vegas, if you go to Vegas, Vegas has these hotels that are affiliated with the hotel program. So for example, MGM just ditched Hyatt and now they're picking up Marriott. That means that if you stay in MGM, you can get the Marriott credits. Don't know what it's going to be yet because this is like happening right now. So, and they haven't even announced what the perks are going to be yet. If you stay at the Cosmopolitan, that's a Marriott property. If you stay at the Palazzo or the Venetian, I think both of those are IHG properties. The Tropicana is a Hilton, and I am not really a fan of the Tropicana. It's a really old hotel and they need to fix it. But you do get Hilton points. The Excalibur is a part of the MGM system, which I said is going to become a part of the Marriott system. There are also other hotels from Hilton and Marriott that are off property and also by the airport. So you can check those as well. And there's a Virgin property, and the Virgin property is actually Hilton, and it's a really nice property. I highly recommend staying there. Great views of the airport. The other property is Resort World, is a part of Hilton, and so you can get credits there. So whenever you go to these different cities, you can still get your points and still have a magnificent stay. I do have a course from Frequent Traveler 101, and it goes to all the hotel stuff I've just told you, so you can take a look at that. Just go to passrider.com/ I should know what it is. Passrider.com/ FD101 course. You'll see the name underneath here, and you can go check that out. The price is actually going to go up, and this is not a marketing ploy, but I'm in the process of making videos for that course. And once all the videos are done, the price is going to go. It's really cheap right now. So go check that out. So that's all I have for hotels. If you have any questions at all, leave them below and I will take care of them. So this is Kerwin with passrider.com, cruising.com, frequent traveler 101.com for Travel Talk. Have a great stay and have a great flight. Talk to you soon.